Oh, something weird is happening.
Am I with you guys?
Yeah, not Jenny's not here yet. She's coming.
Hello.
Okay. All
There
right.
Ah, good thing we had that good scary hello, welcome to our show. This is yeah, we had the scary music going because we were trying to cover our tracks while we had a technical difficulty. So it's Halloween Eve, or it's Halloween, right? And what's the name of our show, Jenny? Tonight is a special show, and it's called what?
Sow-in is how it's pronounced. It's Samhain festival or ceremony, and it's when you welcome in the dark half of the year.
Is it almost like Samhain Day?
It's how it's spelt, yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know why they pronounce it Samhain.
It's
It's
very
Celtic. It's
yeah.
Celtic. Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. I had So tonight's show, what are we doing? Well, first of all, I'm Drew Pillow. I'm going to be the male voice tonight. And joining me, or I'm joining them, is Jenny McDaniel. And if you tune in on to other shows on this network, you know who Jenny is. She's a psychic, medium, healer, hypnotherapist, massage therapist, quantum karmic healer. She is awesome, and she's very knowledgeable. And she's flicking her bick, apparently.
Lighting some sage, clearing the space.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I call it too. That's so funny. What a coincidence.
You got to get in on the energy somehow, you know.
And also joining us tonight is our special guest, and her name is Julia Lyons. Is that right? Did I say it right?
Yeah, you got it.
I just had your page open. Jeez, so I could tell people who you are and what you do. And
I
now,
can do that.
Well, I guess you're gonna have to.
Yeah. So I am an earth-centered shamanic healer, a folk herbalist, Reiki master, plant person, ally, team member.
Oh. Plant person, ally, team member. So you're pro plants.
I am.
So how do you feel when you hear about people smoking plants?
I mean, that's a main way of getting the medicine. It's been used for God only knows how long as one way of taking it in. So
Okay.
I smoke things.
There you go. You're okay.
She lives in Colorado. She's
It's
in
legal
Colorado.
here, yeah.
It's like required to live in that state. You got to be hip with it or smoke it.
Mhm.
Well, having said that, you're cool in my book once again. And so it's a glitchy here where I'm at. I don't know where you guys are at, but the power's going in and out. Half the town's black or in darkness. Fortunately, yeah, something's going on. We have strong winds and everything, but I'm here, and hopefully I'll stay here. So tonight, what we wanted to talk about is Halloween or Samhain or Samhain. And we want to talk about the origins of it, and we want to we also want to talk about scary stories because some of us have scary
Good sound effects.
Some of us have real scary stories to share. So, I had a I had an intro that talked about what I thought the origins of Halloween were, but somehow it didn't upload. So
I'll read what I have written down to kind of condense it. I did some research. I'm familiar with some pagan ceremonies and traditions, but I'm always interested in learning more. And what I found was really interesting. Like I said, it welcomes in the dark half of the year, which in my mind, I associate tarot cards with paganism and ceremony. So when I think of this particular ceremony or a festival or holiday, I think about the death card in the tarot deck, and it represents very much an ending, but with possibility of new beginning. So I dig on all that metaphorical and metaphysical analogy. But what I wrote down was, it's a mandatory, so I thought that was cool. So I'm like, dogma alert, dogma alert. It's a mandatory 3-day, 3-night celebration where Celts burned hearth fires while they gathered the harvest and sacrificed cattle and crop for the goddess and gods. And I was like, that is very interesting. Now, at first I was like, ew, sacrifice. And my spirit guides popped in and they're like, well, how else do you kill an animal if you're going to eat it? And I'm like, yeah, they used the word sacrifice. They were probably going to do it already. They just happened to bring it into ceremony. So I kind of got a little jittery around that. But then I was like, oh, it's totally just process of how you would butcher and prepare meat to last you through the winter. So they would do some sacrificing, and it was for the benefit of their crops and health. So had good meaning behind it. And yeah, what else do I have here? More dogma alert. failure to participate. I do this. This is what it's like in my head when I read anything. I'm like, I don't agree with that, but that's okay. It's difficult being me. But failure to participate in the festival resulted in punishment by the gods and goddesses, not the kings or the chieftains. So of course,
so it's like karmic punishment, though, right?
That's what they're saying, and it's proper fear-based reality to get them to do what they want them to do. So it's like, even in these very hip, earthy, rooty kind of religion, old-time religions, which I dig on, definitely more than what we call Christianity today, there's plenty of dogma in there. So it's always interesting just to look at it.
There's plenty in there. And really what would be ideal is to, be able to get our hands on some research that goes a little deeper into the true esoteric core of what they're actually doing and what the different specific parts of the ritual represent. And,
that would be
maybe
really
by next year we'll find out all that information and,
stay
maybe
tuned. Next year. We'll meet here again. We'll know more.
The next 5 minutes with the internet these days, but
exactly
do that.
I just looked up the word girlma. Yeah. Well, I don't know why, because you said dogma, and it just I was looking up mandatory, so I was looking up girldatory to see if there was actually a word. Why is everything so man-based and not good? Maybe if it was woman-based, it'd be better, huh?
I guess we'll
can't
see.
Go too far in each direction,
That's what I'm saying. I think we'll take both.
Yeah.
So we should call it bidatory.
Yes.
See if that's
I'm
a word.
into that. We need more of that.
That's not a word according to the internet. It's not. But I did find my intro. Let's see if it works. I'm gonna try and play it.
Cool.
I'm getting messages through Skype, and I don't know. Hold on, I gotta find it. Here it is. Let's see if it works. So far, it's not working.
I hear something.
No, that's just the music. That wasn't even.
I like it though.
I like it too. I love the piano.
Yeah, I did some research too, and I found the things that you found. I didn't find
Basic stuff.
much difference. Yeah.
But too, like the core again of these, and also of like Day of the Dead, which is also from a different tradition, but what we're working with here, which links into Halloween, is really that at this time and at other specific times throughout the year, whether it's Beltane or whatever solstices. This day, this celebration is a time when the veil is very thin, so to speak. This is like the root of this tradition. And so because that veil is thin, we're able to connect much more easily, whether we want to or not, to the unseen realm. And that is, how they're able to honor and for some people to communicate with their beloved to have passed, going more into like the Day of the Dead kind of traditions. And so how you can honor them, how you can communicate it, and also how you can do, some witchery.
Wow. So this is the night, if I want to connect with, like if I've been trying to meditate and connect with my guides, this would be an ideal night to try it out.
But also knowing that to do so with caution, because since the veil is thin, it's not just the people we're trying to communicate with, so to speak. There are tons of other things flying around out there. So to do so with caution and discernment is really of the utmost importance at times like this when the veil is rather thin.
So darn it, don't do it tonight. Okay. I'll just stay on my
have like a
merry course.
Crystal next to you. You should be good.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, a little crystal, and just the intention of bringing in your spirit guides while you're doing this kind of metaphysical, spiritual work. I think it's safe enough to do it. Like Julia said, she didn't say don't do it. She simply said use caution. Don't be afraid. Use caution and protect yourself, and expect the unexpected. Like she said, a lot of other spirits are floating around, and this is a perfect time for you to build your discernment skills of differentiating spirit types and levels and energies. If you want to.
Setting boundaries doesn't have to be difficult. You just, state it, what you're willing and unwilling to work with. You feel an energy, and it doesn't really feel totally benevolent. This is also a night of tricksters, let's keep in mind here, right? The people get into that trickster vibe, that energy is there. So, just use caution, and at any time you're not vibing with the energy coming forward, you say, all right, that's enough of that. You're not what I'm going for here. So, bye-bye.
It's brilliant because it's true. And I often tell my psychic students, they're like, how do I discern? I'm like, well, you'll feel the energy. Your guides, your high-vibed guides, they feel light and flowy, and they're going to have very open-ended, heartful energies. The tricksters, the mid-rangers, or the low-frequency-ers, we'll call it, they will be trickster like a teenager. They don't have to be hurtful or hateful. They're just trickster like an adolescent is playful and trickery like. So what the idea is you can communicate with those mid-rangey kind of souls, but don't take what they say to heart. Trust your spirit guides, which then you start to discern there's all types of people on the planet as well as all different types of entities in the ether. So just like you would like to sit down at a table and discuss things with certain people, you do that with spirit too. And the higher the vibe, the lighter the energy. The ones that are more mid-range, they come in with a little bit more human attitude. It's interesting. So, and everyone gets a little different. Julia's a psychic. I'm a psychic. We each know 200 psychics each, so we all do it different, and maybe some of us similar, but it's just getting used to communication with the universe. It takes lifetimes to master that.
And here I thought this was just a day to get candy, but this is the veil is thinner, and it seems scary though. Being a novice person, it's like what if you start trying to reach out, and then you get something bad happening, and then next thing you know, your house is haunted, poltergeist. But it's really not like that. You can set boundaries as simply as saying, I don't want to. You need to leave now.
Yeah, but also, the power. You have the power to do anything. So if you're standing in your power, I mean, honestly, freaky shit can happen. I do house clearing, so I hear all this crazy crazy stuff, of energies coming into people's houses. That stuff's very real. But one of the things that people don't realize as much, we're in the culture here where our society is fed by our power being taken away from us constantly. So we don't realize that no matter how psychic we are or how much practice we've had, if you just stand in your power and let it be known that, no energies other than your own and your helping spirits are welcome into your house, or energies are allowed, but they need to match me or be of higher vibration or frequency. Like, you can just command it. You create your own reality. That doesn't exclude these situations, right?
I agree. And it's all that solar plexus energy, and the entities, if they're mid-range or juvenile, they like your fear. It's like they like your response. So the second we pull back that fear and turn it into strength, then we're less susceptible to any sort of spiritual connect that we're not interested in. But I want to talk about that poltergeist for a second. And we have Crystal in the queue, Drew, if you want to go over and check the HOE message. She gave you her area code, but she does haunted house hunts, or however you say it, investigations. Whoa. I think is a better way. So she's going to have, I was hoping she would call in because I think she's going to have some stories that are going to blow ours out of the water. But anyway, Crystal's in there, and she's on our network. She's here Tuesday, Radical Spirituality, with Crystal and Mandy, and she's going to have some good stuff. And we'll ask Crystal what she thinks about my sayings of poltergeist too. But the percentage of spirits that exist, very small amount of them are what we would consider poltergeist energy. So it does happen, just like if you leave your house, you could get hit by a car, but there's no reason to not do things because of that. The fraction is small. It's nothing. People blow it out of proportion, and then our fear starts to perpetuate that. So
what's your definition of poltergeist activity? I've heard a couple things. I don't like to label because it just confuses me and gets me in my head, but I'm curious about how you're defining that.
If they physically touch you and scratch you and leave marks on you, that is, I would say, close enough. And again, I don't know all the categories and how they break down, but I'd say anything like that, and moving and things flinging. Now,
and
if something moves,
objects in the house and stuff.
Angrily. Okay. I would say angrily.
Okay,
like if your hairbrush gets moved around and it's a little spirit kind of messing around, it's not necessarily poltergeist, but if things are like flinging off the walls and trying to like create harm. Yeah. That's what I consider it.
Whew. I get pulled into the energy easily when we start talking about stuff.
Well,
thinking about
I grew up in the 80s. In the 80s, and that was when Poltergeist came out, and that little girl got sick while she was filming that, and I was like, man, there's something bad. I was a little kid too then, too. I was like 8 years old, and I was like, no way. And here I grew up to be a spiritual healer, and I'm like, oh, let's talk about rainbows and chakras. I don't know. I don't want to clear any scary shit right now. I can, but it's definitely freakier, no doubt.
I think TV and movies kind of have trained me, I don't know about everybody else, but to be afraid. So my natural reaction would not be to stand in my power. It would be to run and scream if I saw something.
And if it's your house and you're the one being affected, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. I mean, I had a client I did a house clearing for where she was pushed down the stairs, broke her arm, something else too. It's like when you're in that position and you're being, preyed on, you don't fuck around. You just go and get the help. It's kind of like how I wouldn't do healing work necessarily on someone in my family because I'm too close. Like if I'm the one being affected, just get some freaking help.
Fear, would my fear feed bad thing to bad entity? Does that give it more power? Or no?
Yeah, it can. It can. What do you think, Julia?
I think, every situation is so different. It's really hard to say. Every situation it's like two different humans interacting. So, like for my work, I need to go in specifically and check in with that home, with that space, and with whatever spirit or being is doing the
this stuff. Well, I don't think your fear will like necessarily be a flag for it to find you. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't think that. I don't know much about that particularly, but I don't think that's the gig. I think that if it's around you and you're freaked out by it, I think that it gets energy and it responds to that. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just like if you're. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say that we do have Crystal, and we also have Mandy. So we have the whole team. Whole team is here. I'm going to go ahead and bring them both on right now. So here is Mandy. Mandy, can you hear us?
Hello. I can. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep, cool. And here comes Crystal. Crystal, are you there?
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hello. Mm-hmm. Awesome. I'm using different Bluetooth headphones, so I didn't know if they were going to work.
Oh, good. They work.
Yeah.
I love you guys. Happy Halloween.
Yes. Happy Halloween.
You guys are talking about all the juicy stuff that I love to talk about.
I'm so glad you called. Yeah. What do you think about poltergeists? Crystal, do you define them as mostly abusive? Is that how you categorize something as a poltergeist?
So poltergeist, actually, and I'm going to tell you that everything that I give, every information that I give is actually given through my guides, because my guides are very clear with me when I'm going into a location. And pretty much my guides, anybody who knows me knows that I only talk about stuff that my guides have talked to me about. I don't read books because guides kind of give it to me in their own way. And so what they have actually given to me about poltergeists is that poltergeists are actually the energy created from gifted people that have no outlet to channel. And so it's a manifested energy that grows from within that will essentially, like Drew, he talks about being scared of stuff. Well, Drew, being a gifted person who doesn't think he is, could essentially create his own poltergeist if he's hearing things and seeing things, because he's the one creating the energy. And so it goes through different stages, almost like kind of possession, just in a different way. It's in the form of manifesting something with your own thoughts, feelings, and fears. And so it can actually get to a place where it takes on its own energy, which is separate from you. And that's kind of when you get all of the stuff moving around the house, and you can get diabolical, you can get bad things happening. But it's all because it's made out of fear and negative energy.
That feels true to me. I'm looking at that, and I got some serious discernment skills with stuff like that. And I'm going to say that's a green light go. Your spirit guides are right on with that one. Yeah, that's interesting. Coming from the individual, pent-up energy. That's really interesting.
Now I want
so it's like super important for us to channel what we're feeling. That's why it's so important for people to talk and get it out. So
heal. That's why we do this.
I love that.
Heart Over Ego Radio. That's why we do this. I think we got 6 shows a week where we just talk about this kind of stuff and hold space for people to understand. It's a wonderful space, and we're all the most heartful healers I've ran across in my 20 years. So thanks, ladies, for showing up. Julia, Drew, I appreciate you guys. What were you going to say, Drew?
I was going to say that's so interesting. Does that work both ways? Can you create like with love, having a lot of love
manifestation,
energy?
baby? It's the realest thing of this reality, I think.
Oh. You guys
I'm all about that shit.
I do. Oh, you do? She said I do.
Heart Over Ego classes.
Yeah, because more people need to know how to do it.
Heaven on earth. I want to hear the scariest story Crystal has. Will you share?
I do too.
Crystal?
Oh, okay, so it was funny because Mandy and I talked about a scary story on Tuesday, and that one is not necessarily at the time it was really scary. I have one that I'll talk about, and actually it's not even. How about this? I actually have proof of this one that I can share on the Heart Over Ego page for any listeners that are listening right now. I actually have. This is my son's story, but this was before I opened up and before I myself knew that I was a medium. I had seen stuff my whole life. I experienced the spirit my whole life. Well, I had my son, and we were living with my mom at the time, and he had his own little bedroom. And at around age 2.5, he started seeing ghost friends. He talked about these ghost friends all of the time, and I'm like, okay, so, imaginary friends, whatever. And so I'm, listening to his stories about how they come in his room every single night, and they play with him. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. He plays with ghost friends. And I'm going to tell you, I used to hear him at night talking to things that weren't actually in his room. So I never heard the answer back, I will say that. But I'm sitting there, and, about 6 to 8 months goes by. And finally he comes out, and he's like, I don't want to go to bed. And I said, well, why don't you want to go to bed? And he said, well, because my ghost friends. And I said, well, they're your friends. And he goes, but they're mean to me. And I was like, what do you mean they're mean to you? He goes, well, they wake me up, and they pinch me, and they make me get out of bed. And I'm tired, and I don't want to play. And so I was like, okay, still not in the mind. I don't even know where my mind was, actually. I saw ghosts my whole life, and here I am not believing my toddler. So I'm sitting here, and I'm like, okay. I said, well, talk to them and tell them it's bedtime and it's time to go to bed. Well, progressively things got worse. I remember going, we were on a trip somewhere, and he looked out the window of the car, and he said, oh, my ghost friends are following me. And I'm like, what? What's this kid talking about? Well, then he started, actually screaming and crying and literally throwing temper tantrums and refused to go into his bedroom and would actually have bruises and scratches and all sorts of stuff, and would tell me that they were trying to bite him and they were mean to him and all this other stuff. Well, finally, I got pissed off because moms get pissed sometimes. And so I looked at him and I said, look, I said, one, we've got to find a way to get to sleep because I wasn't sleeping. And so I said, okay, you know what, how about this? I said, the next time you see them, the next time they come in your room, you tell them that they're not allowed to talk to you anymore, that they need to come and they need to show themselves to me. I freaking kid you not, and this still gives me goosebumps.
I got goosebumps all over my body.
So this is the one that still kind of freaks me out. And I try really hard not to be scared of spirit, but this one still, because it was so, my poor child was being demonically abused for almost a year. So that night I'm kind of in and out of sleep, and I have this horrible, dream where I'm I have this feeling, this horrible dread, and I saw my son die. I woke up, and I'm sitting in bed, and then I hear this scratch from outside of my window. And so I went up to, I'm sitting there freaking out, and I went up to the window, and I saw a little boy and a little girl, black and white. They were kind of old-fashioned, probably from the 1930s, maybe a little bit earlier, standing there, and they appeared to be, they looked like they were trying to be very proper children, but I looked in their eyes. And I'm going to tell you, if any of y'all want to talk about how to see demons versus spirits, we can have this conversation someday. I looked into their eyes, and I saw the empty void that was in their eyes, and I looked at them, and I said, I literally remember saying to them very loudly, you are not fucking children, and you need to leave my son alone. If you come back to this house, there will be major problems. Leave him alone. And they looked at me, and they smiled, and they had razor-sharp teeth. And they said to me, we are taking your children with us, and you will never see him again.
Oh,
at
what
that moment,
the fuck?
Now keep in mind, this is before I knew.
You guys, I'm scared. I'm burning sage over here.
I'm burning sage too.
I'm shielding myself. The wind is blowing. I'm terrified.
So keep in mind, though, this is before I actually knew I have gifts. I wasn't really a believer in anything at this point in time. And at that moment in time, I took both of my hands, and I don't know what possessed me other than I know it was my guides now. At the time, I didn't know what possessed me. I was shaking. I had tears running down my face. I took both of my hands, and I pushed them out in front of me, and I imagined white light pushing towards them And as I did that, I literally threw them with my energy, and they went so freaking far. They never came back. They never came back. But the funny thing is, this is the funny thing, and this is why I said I actually have proof of this. My son got into young fives, and in Michigan we have something called the Christine Watch Award, where kids are supposed to write stories with illustrations. And my son wrote an illustration when he was 4 years old that showed two ghost friends with sharp teeth. And it said that the children came, they're starving and thirsty and hungry, and so they wanted to come into the house or something to that effect. And so I can actually take a picture of that and post it for any listeners, because this was what he saw, and this is actually what I saw. And so what I'm gathering based on what he wrote was that they coerced him to let him in because he saw them as children at the window, and they told him they were starving and hungry and thirsty and cold, and so can you let us in? And all you have to do is say, come on in. And so Corey, my 2.5-year-old, easily would have looked at them and said, come on in. And from that point on, he has refused. He wants nothing to do with spirit. Since then, he wants nothing to do with it.
I guess so. In my head, it's so crazy that, something about, you were talking about inviting them in. When I saw you doing the white light out of your hands, an image came in of a movie I used to watch this show called, True Blood, and I saw you being Sookie, and you were like the fairy, and you pushed a bunch of energy out of your hands, and then you describe how they kind of had to be invited in to kind of traumatize the space like a vampire. So that is crazy. Holy.
Yeah, it was crazy. I literally for a while was so mentally almost torn up by that, because I thought for the longest time, I was like, was I dreaming? Because I know I wasn't dreaming. I know that I woke up and I know that I walked to the way. I know that this was real, but at the same time, it's kind of like, weird.
Yeah. And our culture doesn't have like any platform besides, well, I guess there is some in Christianity with like poltergeist shit.
Catholic religion.
Yeah, right. I'm Jewish, so I don't really know about that stuff, but
you guys go mystical and Kabbalah. You're the higher breed. Yeah.
We don't have a hell, so just kidding.
I have a question for Crystal.
Yeah.
I just want to know, like, where do you think that energy came from, Crystal, to form those things?
I'm going to say, looking back on that now, versus if I were thinking about this then, I have absolutely no clue. But to tell you the truth, I actually think that we lived in a trailer park at the time, and there's across the street, there is a space that I personally feel like is actually a vortex. I think that there's a portal that's open in that space, and I believe that portal, because across the street there's also another, like, this was a brand new trailer park. It's like got the nicer, newer stuff, but across the street it's like across the tracks. And they have, like, all these old, like, 1950s stuff, and everything bad happens. There's also a building that is, like, it used to be a bar. So we have all this negative energy and stuff like that. And so I'm pretty sure that this was probably formed because of something way before. It's a land thing. It has absolutely nothing to do with, like, us or anything like that. It was literally just a land issue. And so just like we all are, anybody who is spiritual, open, empathic, gifted, you're beacons of light. And so anything that is of negative origin wants to steal that light. They want that. They want that feeling. They want that vibe, and or they want to stop it because they know that your job is to do something good. And so they want to, especially with children at that age, what a better time to get them, think about that. So there's so many reasons why I think, but I really think that it's just something to do with the land and the area. Charlotte is not a very great place. I'm going to probably get killed for that if anybody from Charlotte's listening, but at the same time, I just feel like everybody knows how I feel about this town. It's just so dark. This town is just heavy.
Yeah, I'm from Michigan, and I'd say that it's the heaviest state I've lived in. I've lived in like 7 states for many years each. And this Michigan is definitely interesting. I always send energy back home, because I know it's heavy.
Sorry, my dog is squeaking a toy. There's actually, like, downtown where I used to have a business, there's actually something that people all over town have seen several times, and you can Google it. It's called the Top Hat Demon, is what people call it. But it's generally around places where there's a lot of dark things or bad things that are going to happen, and he likes to show himself in a lot of areas. So it's just a dark area.
Well, I want to point out, too, that so what you just brought up is like a perfect point of how these things can manifest from different things. So sometimes it's based on the person, like what you said initially, and them having that built-up psychic energy in one direction or the other. There's the history of the land. There's the history of the space. And so whether it's, this land has been used like Red Rock ceremonially for people to gather and have good, positive ritual, you'll go there and you'll have a very strong positive vibe. Or you'll go somewhere else that was a battlefield or, whatever, where it will be heavier. Or maybe you go into a house of someone who was an alcoholic for 5 years or had suicidal thoughts or maybe thoughts of harming others. So energy builds up in places. And it can stay in that place, or it can come from a person. And so I just kind of wanted to touch upon that and any other ideas that you guys have from experiences of where this stuff might be coming from.
I think Crystal's really onto something, because we were house hunting like crazy a couple weeks ago, and I was going into a lot of people's houses, which is not a common practice for me. I usually work out of an office or, my home. And so I was like, okay, let's just check the energy, because my boyfriend kind of warned me about it. He's like, we're going to have to make sure, my boyfriend's telling the psychic, and he's telling me, we're going to have to check the energy of that place, because I don't want, like, people have been getting divorced and angry and stuff. And I'm like, I'll clear the space. I'm really good at that. And then I was talking a little too, I was writing checks my ass couldn't cash, because when I walked into some of these houses, I was like, I can't clear that. That's 30 years of misery. I can't clear that with sage, and even with my intense healing abilities, I couldn't wipe that clean. So I do think that Crystal's onto something when she's saying it's coming from us and kind of manifesting in a different dimension or frequency or whatever, and it can sit in walls and places. And I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think about haunted things like that Annabella doll or whatever?
I think that's a lie.
That particular story?
It's Raggedy Ann. Yes, it's Raggedy Ann. I'm sorry, Lorraine and Ed, Warren, that is passed on right now, but I feel like a lot of the stuff that they talk about is a hoax. I mean, like, come on, they've come out and they've said that the Amityville Horror never happened. They actually have documented proof that that's never happened, and they're the ones that started that. So I feel like the Annabelle doll itself is not accurate, but I do think that things can be haunted.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
Guess who we have on the line, guys? Ethereally, we got Lorraine, and when she died, I checked in with her energy, and she had me reach out to Crystal to say that she wanted to work with Crystal, and Crystal's like, that'd be so cool. But anyway, she's coming through me, and I'm going to give some information about that doll. She goes, the doll's bullshit, the house is a half bullshit, but she goes, you know what is real? Demons, and that's why I came in as a demonologist. And so she goes, yes, magicians have skill, but it's propped up with story and rhyme. So she's saying it was all part of the art. It wasn't necessarily, a fib that there were demons and that she did that work. But yes, there was some hype put behind it, just like, Hollywood got a hold of that Amityville story, and where they make 6 copies of it over the years since the 70s. So it's like, she's saying, that she's saying Crystal's right. The doll was, she goes, she wants to clear something up though. She goes, there absolutely can be those frequencies that you guys are talking about in things. So she's showing like brooches and just anything, but things that are worn on people or used every day. So she's like, it has to be a pretty intense energy to connect with, we'll call it metal or something, but it can happen, she's saying.
I have so many interesting stories. I really feel like we just need to have like a stories session.
Yes.
No,
that
I
could.
I just want to like have her. I don't know. I would love to sit. One of my biggest things that I would love to do as a medium, seriously, is just sit and talk to the people who have passed on the other side and get their stories for life. That is my biggest thing that I absolutely love to do. I've had the blessed opportunity of being able to channel Al Capone and Kurt Cobain, and it was the most wonderful experience ever. I felt like I was crazy, but at the same time, I would love to be able to just pop in. Here we are, Lorraine. I can't do that, Mandy. Sorry, Jenny. I can't do that, Jenny. So I was like, wow.
I can't believe I get anything done in the day because I can, and I often have to like make myself be in the functioning physical world because I'd prefer to stare at a wall and talk to Kurt Cobain. I like to talk to Einstein and Tesla. They give me good inspiration. They're my buddies, you know, so I prefer to hang out with them all the time, but I have to like go function as a human too. So I want to tell you guys about the scariest story I have, and I'll make it quick so everyone can share something if they want to. But I come from a small town in Michigan. This particular town that this took place in is called Otsego, Michigan, and it has some Native American roots, and it's old, and I don't think it's got the nicest energy like Crystal described Charlotte. So my brother was renting an old house with some friends, and I get a call from him, and this is about, I'd say maybe 2005 or something, 4. And so my brother calls me. He goes, Jenny, get your ass down here. We got demon activity. So I grab all my tools. I grab my sage. I grab my cross. I had a freaking Bible. I was like, I grabbed everything that I had in my power, and I put it all in a bag. And he's just 2 blocks away. It's a small town. We were both living in downtown at the time. I walked quickly to his place because I want to see what's going on. And so I open up the door. I see my brother with a freaking Ouija board on his lap. He's not touching the piece, and it's flying all over the board. And I was like, Ronnie, get that the fuck off you right now. And he goes, why? It's telling me all kinds of cool stuff about the history and who was killed here and the bloodshed. And I'm like, that's not something you want to mess with. So I get him to let go of this. He's like almost entranced by it because my brother's psychic as well. He just doesn't do it exactly like I do, but he always saw ghosts. And so I'm like, I'm seeing him not touch the little piece, and it's flying all over, and I'm just knowing that this is just a weird space, and that it's trying to take him over because of the way he was acting entranced by it and wouldn't put it down. Because, I mean, he must have been able to break free at some point to call me, thank God, so I could get down there. So I throw it out of the house, and we go back in the living room, and we're sitting there talking, and I'm like, we got to sage this house. I don't know what's going on, but I don't think I can handle this. I'm going to have to call some friends. So I call a couple healer friends, and we're just saging the place. I go into the fucking kitchen, and the Ouija board's on the table. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Who brought that in? Who's messing with me? I swear to God it was one of them because I just couldn't believe it. My mind wasn't allowing me to believe it because I threw it out. And so, and no one left. We're all in the living room kind of staying close together because we're freaked out. And so we burnt it, and it never came back, thank God. But it was the scariest thing I ever did. And I got my teacher on the phone. He's a trance channel, a human that channels entities, trance channel style. He's like, don't go to that house. Get your brother out. End of story. I go, okay, that's cool. We can't clear that space. He goes, no, it's too thick. And what the entities were telling him were just mid-range kind of stories, just a lot of fear and guts and stuff. And I'm sure bad stuff happened to that house, but they were making it sound like only bad stuff happened, which it could have if they were in it like that. So needless to say, we didn't rent anywhere near that place for the next, 5 years.
Was that on Halloween?
That was just some random day. I can't remember, but it definitely wasn't Halloween. Yeah. I never liked Ouija boards, and I never needed them to communicate.
They're not
and I never, no, they're not, because those trickery souls start messing with them and start giving you bullshit answers and stuff, which is fine if you're into the entertainment of it all, but not if you want to get healing or anything.
Well, even if you just want to be safe. I mean, that's scary. Whew.
Yeah, it was scary. Yeah. Anyone else want to tell us a story?
Not me. I don't have any scary stories.
None.
Really? I really would think Drew Pillow would have one.
I'm not. I'm the kind of person that I'm afraid of ghosts, but I don't believe in them. So then that kind of cancels it out, doesn't it?
I got you.
No.
Mhm.
And we did a ghost.
See, one of these
we did
days,
a ghost
like
session.
you and I are gonna have to hang out.
I just did a ghost hunting session at a house that's supposed to be haunted last Saturday. Yeah.
Okay.
Like my girlfriend believes, and so we bought all the equipment. Like we have so much stuff. So night vision cameras.
That's awesome.
The Connect thing that sees skeletons.
What
all this
about,
stuff.
like feeling for yourself, like through your own senses, that
Me feeling something, like something's in the
Yeah.
house, something.
yeah,
No,
I mean, there's endless ways of feeling things, but
I think I'm too programmed because my house, I swear, you can hear things walking around. It just sounds like doors are closing, and I just, think of it as something logical. Like,
totally.
that's
That's
the wind.
okay.
That's the
Not
wind.
everyone needs to go there.
Yeah. And my girlfriend's scared of everything, and I don't believe so. If I believed, I'd probably be more afraid, but I'm not. What about Mandy? Mandy's got some stories. We still have
People went on Radical Spirituality the other night about this police academy in Vermont that I used to do like retreats and events at. And when I was a kid, and there was like this ghost that revealed herself to me. That was pretty cool. Trying to think of a different ghost story to tell. How did what?
You saw the ghost? You saw the ghost?
Yeah. So I went to this retreat thing as like a camper. And I was hanging out with my friends. There was a Ouija board. No, there wasn't a Ouija board involved. I'm trying to remember. So, excuse me. Okay. I got it now. So I went to the Vermont State Police Academy for this camp thing when I was like 12. And I guess it had been an old tuberculosis treatment center. And among other things, it was a very like old, big building. And it used to be like a hospital kind of atmosphere, I guess, several different times. Anyway, rumor has it that there was a ghost named Mary. And it's always Mary, right? And that she haunted the place, and she died from like a patient. Like she gave a patient an overdose, or like a patient turned on her and she got some sort of overdose. Something happened. She died there young, very tragically. So there was a girl that I was sharing a room with, and we had just become like new friends. I met her at this thing, whatever. And she wanted to contact the ghost. And then there was another girl who was really scared, and she was like crying, like didn't want to do it. And I'm like, I don't know if we should be like doing this. Like this kid's really upset. And she's like, no, we can do it. And she keeps like asking and like contacting me, like, Mary, show us you're here. So all of a sudden, there's like these old green reading lamps in the room. It's like these tall, like brass kind of, like a brass like footing, and it goes up and like curls up over and has like this big green glass like lampshade thing. So all of a sudden, it goes like, and turns upside down, and we're like,
whoa!
Like everybody's screamed. It was like terrifying. It turned upside down, and then it fell over. Like 20 seconds after it turned upside down. It was like a strong delay. So we were terrified. We slept with our eyes open wide, all night. And then I went away, and that was it. So 3 years later, I went back there, and I was like a camp counselor or something at this point for like another thing. And I kept hearing this crying, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I'm like, where is this crying coming from? And I went and checked on all the campers. I'm like, are you guys okay? What's going on? Anybody upset? Am I homesick? What's happening? Nobody. Everybody was like asleep. They're like, no. And like, I could like, I'm pretty sure none of them were lying to me. Who knows? So every time I was alone that whole weekend, I would hear this like just talking from like a woman. I'm like, what the heck? So as I went to leave, I got into my car, and I looked back at the building, and I looked up to like the third floor, and there was like a woman in a white dress staring out at me, and I could see her face pretty vividly. and it was like crying. It was like shadowy but crying, and she was wiping her tears. And that was it. I was like, whoa. And then I just like took a breath and I left. And I drove away.
Okay, I just have to say, during the first part of your story, I'm like in my healing room, totally immersed in what you're saying, and I hear this tapping. It's like, oh shit. And I go, and you know, my boyfriend's here, we have friends here, so I fucking, my whole body tenses. I look out the window, I don't see anything. I had to switch rooms. I got freaked the fuck out. It's working out. I was like, freaking our own selves out. Awesome. I'm like, drop the sage, just leave.
You guys aren't supposed to be afraid.
Yeah, we are.
We would be the most afraid.
Like,
when you know the depth of the reality.
Exactly. When you see the shit that we see, it's hard not to kind of be like, okay, now. It's like you can take your power and you can take a step back also and be like, okay, I got to find my space, because sometimes when I'm cleansing a place and there's something really negative, my guides have me walk into whatever it is, like while staging. So it's almost like a step process, because I can feel they're pushing back at me, but at the same time, it's like my guides are telling me to take another step, to take another step. And so it's like showing no fear, but at the same time, you really got to have your actual faith when you are coming across something like that. It's not always so easy.
Yes.
It doesn't even sound easy.
That was fun. Thanks for letting me share, guys. I thought of another one the other day, but then I forgot it. So if I remember, I'll tell you again. And I love you all. I'm so happy to be here. And hi, Julia. I've missed you.
I miss you
so, Mandy.
Yes.
The other day, you had said something. It was super cute how you said it. You said the same thing. Like when you were telling the story on our show, it was really cute, because you were like, oh, it's always somebody named Mary. And also, there's always a lady in a white dress. Do you know why spirit can only come in like white and or blue? Do you know why that is?
No, but I want to.
It's because of how our eyes see the colors. That's what it is. It's they can only share so much energy. Like, it's really hard for spirit to do something over and over again. And if she's like in that space, and think about that, especially if she's like in a crying space or something like that. So she's like in a place where she's using up as much energy as she possibly can. And the easiest colors for spirit to give are hues of white and blue.
Wow. That makes so much sense. Like, energetically and dimensionally. I dig that.
Mm-hmm. And in a lot of like the Hindu pantheon and whatever, many of the gods are, you know, that blue color. And I was actually thinking about that recently. I was like, why is that? And when I close my eyes, sometimes if certain things are coming forward, it's like that tone of blue. And yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Well, it reminded me of another story, actually. It reminded me of something, because I had a experience when I was younger. I was about nine years old. And actually, you know, for some of my ghost stories, if anybody is ever interested, they can go to Crystal Kirchen, and it's Kirchen. It's my old YouTube channel. I have this series called A Medium in the Making, and it's actually my stories that I'm sharing with people because they've asked to hear my stories. And so you can actually hear some of my ghost stories if you want to hear them. It's on my old YouTube channel.
That's so cool.
Good to know.
I also wanted to say, this is Mandy again, thank you. I love you all. I am up in Maine because I'm going to Weekend Witch School to celebrate the sow-in. I've been practicing that word because I mess that up all the time too, because of the way it's spelled. I don't even know if I said it right this time, but we're going to roll with it. But I'm going with our astrologer friend, Jen Edwards, and our good friend, Heidi Summers, and it's going to be absolutely wonderful. And I'm excited to hold space with them, and I'm going to tell them all about Heart Over Ego Radio, and it's going to be wonderful.
What are you guys going to do, Mandy? What is the premises? Which school? Like, are you guys going to go over some spells and stuff?
Yeah, I think we're going to, like, set intention and do some, like, ritual and spells. We're also going to make candles and weave some things. I don't know. I'm not super into the crafty stuff naturally, so I'm really excited because when I sit down and people teach me these things, I learn and I get excited, and it's out of my like typical comfort zone. So we also have to bring brooms, clean new ones. They can be decorative or whatever, as long as they're clean. I don't know what we're doing with that. We're going to be out in nature. We're getting goddess photos. We're doing some sisterhood circle and ceremony, and it's just going to be absolutely wonderful. And it's in Maine, so it's going to be super fun. And I'm excited.
Yeah,
but
Maine in the fall. Beautiful. Beautiful over there.
Yeah, it is. The leaves were like just stunning today. So incredibly vibrant, and it made me feel so at home and so peace and so cozy. I wanted to say thank you all for having me on. I have to run, but I wanted to call in for a little while and hold space with all of you and all of our listeners, and happy Halloween. And I just absolutely loved all of this conversation. This was fun.
Thank you, Mandy. We'll see you around.
Bye, Mandy. Have a wonderful weekend.
That was
and you can find Mandy and Crystal on Tuesdays on Heart Over Ego Radio. They do excellent work, talk about all kinds of cool stuff. And is that 6 p.m. Eastern Standard, Crystal?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Cool. On Tuesdays. Yep.
And I wanted to
Mandy
tell
and
Crystal that I watched one of your YouTube videos, and I really liked it. And now every time I open my phone to YouTube, there's one of your videos right there recommended. So, yeah. So if you watch one of her videos, YouTube will make sure you get to see more.
I was like,
yeah,
I'm a
and they're
creeper
good.
now. See, that's how it works.
I mean, you did good. I mean, you just talked. It was just you talking, and you held my attention, which is, there was no special effects and no bikini women dancing around in the background. So I was real surprised. I was like, I'm sitting here watching this. Wow. You're very interesting. Very interesting. So I appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
But you can add some bikini ladies. That would not hurt.
Jesus. Don't take advice from him.
Okay.
Bikini ladies, got it. Check. Drew. Check.
And you guys, I just been sitting here. I feel like I've been in a class because there's been such good information. Like the spirits are always in white and blue. I thought that was Hollywood doing that, but that's actually a real thing.
Well, a lot of the things in Hollywood and in folklore or, really whatever stories stem from real things. They wouldn't have exorcism movies if it weren't for, some basis in real life. Yeah, I mean, they get these ideas from somewhere.
And Julia, I wanted to, I'm giving my closing comments. I wanted to say, Julia, I thought Jenny had the coolest, most laid-back voice, but when you talk, I just lean back in my chair and close my eyes. You have such a soothing voice.
I'm so flattered because I love Jenny's voice so much.
It's awesome. You guys together.
So the fact that, wow. That'll just
let's
float
take it on
me
the road,
on
Julia.
For the next few days. I'm down.
You guys sing and dance? No, we just talk. Listen.
That reminds me. I think we really should look into making some guided meditation recordings and offer them on the website or something, or YouTube.
I've been approached by Jenny about that.
I think you guys would do very well with it. I know I'd check it out.
I was going to say, they have, and Mandy also, Mandy has the most relaxing voice also. I sound like a toddler that's been drinking too much, but I would definitely listen to all three of you.
Not a toddler that's drinking too much.
That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
I like Crystal's voice because I can sense energy really well, and her excitement and passion just comes out in her voice, and I think it's adorable.
It's
and
so awesome.
I think Drew's got it is, and it just feels so direct and matter of fact, and I can dig on that because I have my Mercury's in Aries, so I like direct and I like the way she communicates. And then Drew's got a pretty snazzy voice himself. He does all of our radio or all of our commercials and all of our intros and stuff. We got, what do they call it? We got the face for radio. No, we got the face for radio. we're all lovely individuals, but our voices are where it's at. No, I tease.
Yeah, and Jenny, I wanted to compliment you. I wanted to compliment your sound. I don't know what you did to your sound, but it got so much better. Like I remember once upon a time your sound was not good. Now you sound stereo beautiful.
You know who fixed that? You did. I monkeyed with every volume I had on the phone. I've had this phone for over 2 years. And you sent me this video that brought me to another video, which had this really cute little Asian girl on there being like, you have to go to this setting. And if you pull this all the way over, then that gets louder. And so I went into this setting I'd never been in. And it also said tones and rings. So I always just associate it with the ringer and not my volume here. But I moved it all the way over and suddenly my sound is good. And that only took me 3 years to figure out, guys. So if you believe in something, you can make it happen.
And we can just ask our friends for help when they spent so much time, so we don't have to.
Right. We can make a tutorial on that too. So anybody, it's 10 o'clock. It's the 10 o'clock hour. As we close, anybody have any closing remarks?
I was just happy to be with you guys. It was a lovely evening, and I appreciate all of you. And I hope we can do it again. Anyone else?
I would like
Thank
to
you
say
for bringing me
that.
on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Crystal with the best story.
We all talk. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No,
we don't plan it.
Crystal had the Crystal one scariest story. I mean, that demon story with the sharks. I'm gonna have nightmares now. I'm gonna have to stay awake all night.
Welcome to my world.
But you don't believe, Drew. Come on.
No, I have to stay awake because I have homework. But yeah, I do. I believe something. I just I haven't been convinced yet. Like it's weird. I believe there has to be something, but until I get my own evidence, then I'm gonna stay over here in the safe side. And I want to Mandy's story. I have a title for it. It's called "That's Why Drew Doesn't Go Camping." It's exactly that. Ever. Don't do camping.
You will see a ghost or Bigfoot if you go camping.
Something. I've seen too many movies. I already know what's going to happen. I'm not going. Yeah, I'm a safe chicken.
You sound like me. Like, no, I see what happens. I've seen too many movies. I know what happens once you get out of the car. I'm staying in the car. Nope.
In the car.
I follow my gut.
Right. With the motor running.
Exactly.
Julia, will you tell everyone how they can get a hold of you for your folk shamanic medicine?
Yeah, so my name's Julia Lyons, not spelled like the animal, Lyons. Right now you can find me at meadowsweethealing.com. That will be changing soon. Facebook, Meadowsweet Healing, or Julia Lyons. And, yeah.
Crystal, and besides your YouTube address, do you want to give people an email address to message you in case they want to do some channeling with you?
I always tell people I am mid-mitten mediums. That's where you can find me everywhere. YouTube, like you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on Facebook. That's my email address, everything. I keep it simple for myself.
What's mid-mitten mean?
It means I am located
Michigan. She's from Michigan.
Oh.
The Mitten State.
Isn't she clever?
Is it?
It looks like a mitten. Yeah.
It does.
Haven't you ever met
it
anyone
does.
from Michigan? They'll hold up their hand and say, "I'm from here," and they'll point. That's what we do. We say, "I'm from Michigan," and they'll point on their hand where at Michigan they're from.
Oh wow! I never knew that. I never
Drew's in Ohio.
thought about that.
I'm
yeah.
surprised.
From the draft state. Wait a minute, is that you?
Well, thank you, everyone. Let's do this again. Let's plan to gather again and do a special show. We have some days open up on the network, so I'd love to connect with you guys again. Does anyone else have any closing remarks? Because I'm going to go eat a peanut butter cup.
Mm.
No, thank you.
Nope.
You all have a wonderful rest of your Halloween.
Appreciate you, Crystal. Take it easy.
Take it easy.
Yep,
I found the
Bye-bye.
origin story that I was looking for, so I'm going to play it right now. Halloween, such an innocent holiday that kids of all ages enjoy. But is it really so innocent? Some say that Halloween actually originated thousands of years ago in a land far, far away, when a black cat ran under a ladder and broke the looking glass. And on that night, at the 13th stroke of midnight, witches, ghouls, demons, and goblins all rose up and terrorized the neighborhoods, going door to door, begging for candy. Maybe this isn't true, but maybe it is. Tonight you'll find out. As Julia... That's my origin story.
Oh my God!
I love it.
Save it for next year. It's too good.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be the opening next year. We'll have a lot more information, and that's got to be an opener.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen,
I appreciate you guys.
Samhain, or how do you call it? Samhain. Yeah.
Samhain.
Samhain Eve Gathering. It's officially in the books. Make sure you follow us on Blog Talk Radio, Heart Over Ego Radio. And we are out of here.
Bye.
Bye.